Hey guys, Gatsu here, bringing you what I'm going to call another book review, because it's not technically an original English light novel review. I'm reviewing Halfwit Halfling, A Bard's Tale. The reason I say it's not technically an original English light novel, so I spoke to the publishers Moonquill. Again, thank you very much Moonquill for sending me this. And they said it could be considered an original English light novel. However, it is mostly what's known as a LitRPG, so it's a literary role-playing game. And this basically means it's like set in a kind of role-playing game with like stats and everything. So if you see there, it's always very obvious when it's like stats as well, which I like. It's done in a way. If you see, it's got like borders. So you've got like border there and border there to show like, oh, this is the stat screen, which I really like. But I'll get into that. But basically, yes. So it's a lit RPG. It's basically a story about a man. I don't think he's named, but he pets this cat. He's drunk and he pets this cat, and it turns out this cat is a deity from another world called Game World, and he then gets transported there, has to pick a new race and everything. So before I get more into the story and the book and what I did and didn't like, as always, I'm going to talk about the physical copy itself. So I like the cover. It's the only artwork in the book, because it's a lit RPG and not an original English light novel. It doesn't actually include any illustrations. However, I do like the cover. I think it gives like a very kind of warm fantasy, like traditional fantasy vibe to it, and it definitely kind of tells you, it shows you what the story is going to be about. You know, it's the adventure of this halfling and his guitar, and it's written by a man called J. Powell. I haven't had any contact with him myself, but I will say I do like his writing style. It's laid out like a lot of the other Moonquill stuff. I will say I really like what Moonquill's doing. They tend to be putting out like really good quality products. So you got obviously the contents page as usual, and then like the nicely laid out chapter pages and whatever. Yeah, really, I really like this release. The one thing that I don't like is that it's like printed in matte, and I definitely feel like this would look better with a glossy cover. And I did actually speak to the guys at Moonquill about that, and I believe they've taken that into account and whatever, and I think they may have switched it to glossy. Not entirely sure, but yeah, that it may be different now. But yeah, I like this. I will also say I'm a fan of the Moonquill logo. I like having it at the top. However, it's not very clear with the black on the blue. If I quickly grab Lord of Goblins, you see it's very, very nice and clear at the top there. So apart from that though, yeah, I think it's a really nice release from them. So going into the story, as I said, it's about a guy who gets transported into this game world. Basically, it's run by these deities who pick champions from our world, bring them into game world, give them all these like powers and whatnot. So our protagonist accidentally gets pulled there by this cat who's actually like the helper of one of these deities, and basically gets put into the game without a deity backing him and with the pacifist trait, which means that if he gets into any combat or anything, all of his stats are halved. He gets a massive debuff, and so he has to try and figure out what will be best for him without obviously going into combat or anything. So he has to go, instead of going the traditional fantasy route, I'm going to get this magic, I'm going to become this awesome warrior, he has to think, how am I going to avoid fighting as much as possible? And that's where the whole bard thing comes in. So he gets transported with his guitar, and essentially decides he's going to put as much into charisma as possible to just try and get people to like him. And that is also why he chooses to go in as a Jovian, a halfling, because they are generally liked by all the races and have high charisma. So he chooses that to kind of, so that he can talk his way out of everything, basically. He starts off in a prison, in a Kappa, not society, like town, basically. And Kappas are essentially like more civilized goblins. And so he essentially has to find this first volume, because I believe there is going to be more. This first volume is basically about him trying to find a way out of this prison and out of this Kappa habitat to make his way into into a normal civilization. Now, one of the things that makes this story really interesting is the imminent threat of other champions. So as I mentioned, he was put into this world, but he doesn't have a deity backing him. Now, the people that are put into this world from our world are known as champions, and he is technically a champion, but generally champions have some sort of power that has been given to them by their deity. So one of the things that ends up putting a timer on him getting out of this Kappa town, Blacknail's Table, is the champion of pestilence is currently on his way to this town. So, he does not want to be there when this champion arrives, especially if this other champion finds out he's a champion, because then he's going to try and take him out. Because this whole world is just a game for these cosmic deities, these almost gods. So it's kind of, I really like that it's following the little guy trying to worm his way out of everything, and I really like how it's written, actually. So there's a lot of humorous moments. It's very British in its writing and its dialogue, and I really like that. A lot of references to music as well, especially a lot of English singers I've noticed as well. I don't know if that's actually on purpose or what, but yeah, it's very unapologetically British, and I actually think that's one of the good things about it, that it really embraces that and kind of brings that into its writing and everything. So yeah, I found the main character really likable, and I really like his struggles and how he kind of figures out and deals with these problems that he's faced with in this new world. I really like where the story ends up at the end as well. I'm not going to go as far as to spoil that, because you want to find out for yourself. But I really like where this ends up and the kind of seeds it sows for what would then be in the next volume. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the Halfwit Halfling. I did kind of struggle a bit putting my thoughts down in my notes before this review, because I had a really good time reading it. When I wasn't very motivated to read it, but then when I did read it, I didn't want to stop. And I couldn't entirely put my finger on why that was, and I think it's just because of how the writing is so fun and engaging that it just made me want to keep reading, and I think that's the key to this book here. So I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. Really good, but not perfect. There were a few maybe kind of pacing issues, whatever. It is, again, hard for me to put my finger on what I didn't like, because I did actually really enjoy this. I just know it wasn't perfect. It's not the best thing I've ever read, but I did really enjoy this, and I definitely would recommend picking this up yourself. I will definitely be on the lookout for the second volume. So I want to say a big thank you again to the people at Moonquill for sending this my way. If you like this video, leave it a like down below. I will leave the Amazon page for Halfwit Halfling in the description, so you can check that out as well if you want to get it. Also, Moonquill's website will be in the description as well to check them out. But yeah, I want to say thank you for watching. Comment if you've seen this, if you've heard of this, what you think from what I've said. If you think this would be, for you, if you think you're going to pick it up. And I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you next time.